Today we are going to be discussing the perfect shoulder workout that has got results like this that you can see on the screen, where we've blown up the guy's shoulders so they look fucking spectacular, and these are my own shoulders, which are kind of nice. Now actually you're going to get double bubble here. You're going to get 2 workouts instead of 1. So let's proceed. If you don't know who I am and this is your first time watching the channel, welcome. My name is Tom Sergi and I run the Gorilla Platoon. It's an online physique transformation program, so just so you know, I fucking live and breathe this shit, and this is the style of results that we get from the information that I push out to them. So my promise to you is by the end of this video, you will know the exercises I use and why. Plus, you will also get a workout routine that you can screenshot, follow, and apply into your own training that has worked so well for me in growing my shoulders. So, where we're looking at the deltoids, you're all well aware, this is not news to you. There are 3 elements of it. You've got the posterior side that sits here on the back, also known as the rear delt. You've got the medial delt on the side, and then the anterior delt that sits on the front. Now, that's not news to you. I know you know there's a front, side, and back to your delts. I'm not going to insult your intelligence. But what we do want to think about is the function of each one, and then what that means for us when we're training it. You see, we'll come on to rear delts at the end, but the function of the rear delts is shoulder extension or horizontal abduction, which basically means put your arm straight out in front of you and move it away from your body. That's horizontal abduction. So we want to think about the function of each delt and then apply resistance to that function to get the best out of it and really not fuck around when it comes to training our shoulders. So we're going to get each delt up and we're going to work through them. I don't do isolated front raises for the front delts. I would do if they were lagging behind, but I seem to get enough stimulus from my overhead pressing and also from my incline stuff as well. So you're not going to expect to see that in this video. This video is mainly going to be concentrated on side and also rear delts, which, to be honest, are going to have the longest levers in making your delts have that like 3D style look and look really fucking juicy. So let's roll in. We'll show you what we do for the workouts, and then we're going to move into the specifics. So this is the way I break down my shoulder training. It's 4 sessions. Technically it's 2, but I'm just saying the way we hit rear delts, I believe I see it as more of a back muscle than a shoulder, even though it's a rear delt, but that's just the way I like to break it up. But we'll go through the program and show you the first exercises. Now, I absolutely love lateral raises, and you're going to see a lot of variations of it, but you cannot build big shoulders without really doing a press and putting a lot of load for it. It's going to work the front of the delt, and it's also going to work the side delt as well. Use a machine and a dumbbell variation. Both are good. You see, this exercise is still very hard towards the top just because of the way the machine is set up. If you look at where the plates are in relation to the floor, as they raise up, gravity wants to pull them back down. It's the delts that are physically holding them in position. So if you can find a machine that targets your delts as you press the load up to the top, beautiful. Because what the dumbbells will do is they will do the opposite. When your arm is straight up in front of you with a dumbbell, there's not that much resistance. Now, when you go to the bottom, there's a fuck ton of resistance. So if you can apply on one session, you do a machine press, and on the sister session, you do a dumbbell press, you've covered your bases. What I want to address is the setup. You see, most people, me included, do not have the ability to sit against a bench with dumbbells and then press straight up without really fucking struggling. So all you want to do to fix that issue is just slide your hips slightly forward on the bench. Or if you're doing like that bench here on the machine doesn't move, so I have to move my hips forward. If you've got an actual bench and you're dumbbell pressing, you're going to move the bench back a notch. Because what you want to do is you want to be able to press the load, and the load be going from, so the load in your hand, through the elbow joint, through the muscle, through the shoulder, not if you press it up to the top, the load is in front of you and it's going down towards the floor. So you want load, working muscle, then obviously the floor, not load straight to floor. You understand what I'm saying? So in this instance, I can't shift the bench back, so I have to bring my hips forward so I can then arch backwards slightly. So for my mobility, I can then fix it and then do this point. That's a very important point with the setup, just to make sure you are doing it correctly. A lot of people most people, if you've got any form of like rounded shoulders, you will need to do that. So just take that point on. Always controlling the tempo. And when we're doing this exercise, very similar to when I speak about pressing, if you've watched this channel before, I don't tell you to press the load from your hands. I tell you to press from your elbows, almost shortening the moment arm. Because if you can think about just bringing your elbows towards your face, you're going to contract that muscle. If you think about pressing the load from your hands, then I find the cueing just a little bit smoother. So try it, see if it works for you. But I find that cue press from elbow seems to work quite nicely when moving big load. That's it. We get after it, we get nasty. We're looking for around about a 6 to 10, and then I do a back off set of 12 to 15, managing fatigue and able to get then more reps out at the state I'm in relative to the fatigue I've just put on it. But you want to do a heavy set, put as much fucking load through the muscle as you humanly possibly can, and then shift into your back off sets. So that's the first exercise that we do for the front/side delt on the first session. Let's move on to the second one. Now, the second exercise, you are going to do a dumbbell lateral raise. Thinking of a dumbbell lateral raise, great exercise, but it's only realistically hard towards the top. And the reason for that is because of gravity and you're just holding a blunt weight. So when your arm is down by your side, there's not that much resistance. When you bring your arm out as far as you can with the load, it's also where the muscle is weakest and also where the exercise is hardest. So just bear that in mind. Now, the way I approach dumbbell lateral raises, I've been doing them for fucking years. And a lot of the time I did like support my chest and I just really didn't like move the weight up. I've started to take a dual approach to this where the first set I will move as much load as humanly possible. Form may not be perfect. It may not be perfect, but I just want to move as much as I can to put some stress on the muscle. Then what I do is I go into 2 back off sets, reduce the load quite a bit, and then crisp up the movement, good 12 to 15. So this is the top set that we go for. So here, bang. I mean, it's fairly okay. What's holding me in position is squeezing my glutes, quads, and hamstrings to keep me in position. And we're still trying to pause at the top, even with that hard, heavy load. But with this, we really are just trying to move as much load as we possibly can, to spike that fucking muscle protein synthesis and get things moving. So yeah, that is the sister exercise I do on the push day, and that will hit the lateral delts and also the front delts from the singular push exercise that we just showed you there. So that is what I would do on my push day, just those 2 exercises first. You'll get the rep ranges when we go back to the screen that you can take a screenshot of. I then have a second day where I train arms and delts. In that I do 3 exercises, with the first one being shoulder press. I actually haven't videoed myself doing shoulder press since January this year, so we're probably due another one tomorrow when we set this up. So with the dumbbell shoulder press, beauty of that is you can really manipulate the path of your arm to fit quite healthily, whereas the machine kind of fits it for you. So notice how I've got the dumbbells. They're not facing out like this, because then it means I push my shoulders out and I could end up grinding it against the housing of the shoulder. So what I do is I bring them in slightly, and then that allows me to bring my elbows at more of a 45-ish degree position. Get the pause in the lengthened position, and again, driving those biceps together. 2 sets, 6 to 10, and a back off 12 to 15. And again, you're looking to move as much load as you possibly can with this. You're going to see how you should train to failure on this set as well. Okay, we start to struggle now. I think I've got maybe 1 more in the tank. Here we go. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Come on, motherfucker. Stop being a bitch. Get it up. Get it up. There's a good lad. That's how your last set wants to look. That's how you know you're training hard, training for failure, training to intensity, yeah? Like, on your sessions, your money-making set exercises, that's how you want to finish your top set. Fucking toast the muscle. And then that's the reason for the back-off set. So we can still accumulate some good volume, but also we want to be able to, actually be effective and be deliberate with it. Whereas if I went back into the same load, I didn't count the reps there actually, but let's say I did get 8, I'm going to get 6 max. So we want to reduce and just accumulate a little bit more volume. The delts, they can take a good fucking battering, can't they? They're not a big muscle like your biceps and triceps, so you can put a shit ton of volume through it. So you've got 2 more exercises I'm going to show you for the side delt now. Volume going in on this day. They're quite similar, to be honest. One I've shown on this channel before is probably the exercise that blew up my delts because I've been doing it for the longest time. And then the other is a machine that hopefully you will have as well. Let's roll. So this exercise for the longest of time has blown up my delts. I learned it when I was working at the world's leading personal training company in Dubai. And they taught me this exercise. Now, in that gym, because it was a kind of a small premium gym, the benches and the cable stacks were actually quite close to each other. So I do appreciate, and I did get some hate in the comments when I shown this on my last video, that this is a ball length to set up. And maybe it is. Maybe if the benches are a million miles away from your cables, unfortunately, maybe it is. Now, the reason I do it with a bench and not standing is I look how much more supported I am. I've supported all of my body. There's no way I'm going to bend from my hips, curl from my back, or do any bullshit when I'm trying to target the medial delt. It's just not going to happen because I've supported everything. On top of that, I'm not using D-handle. I've got cuffs on my arms, so the weight is just strapped to me. So the only thing I need to worry about now is simply just straightening my arm out to the side. So you can really imagine now how I can just close my eyes and put pure tension on that medial delt with absolute deliberate effect. So I do appreciate maybe it's going to be a ball length for you to set this up. If so, the only question I'll ask you is what's worth it? Do you want bigger delts or do you want to not have the ball length of dragging a bench across the gym? And fine, it might not be for everyone, but I'm going to show you what worked for me, what I get my guys to do, and if you want to take it and apply it, you can, and if you don't have to, of course. This is all just education. Now, when you do this exercise, you want to first understand that the beauty of this versus a dumbbell exercise is this will keep tension on at the bottom in the lengthened position where you are actually strongest of all muscle contractions. So the beauty of this then, we can target that, we can nail that, we can load it up. What you don't want to do is cross your arms back over at the bottom. Whether you're doing it standing or anything, you only need to go to that point. Keep the tension on. Now, what you're then thinking is not to come straight back, but more to drag your hands away from you and imagine touching the walls that are either side of you. And you also want to think that if you can push your arms outwards, there is no way you are going to contract your traps when you do this. But if you were to bring your arm quite close in and you were to pull your shoulder in, you're gonna toast the trap up. And that's how to train your traps. It's to essentially drag your shoulder towards your neck. Now, people will do this on this exercise just to get the load out, but you don't want to do that. You want to push your arm as far away from you as you can, almost pulling your shoulder out of the socket. And that way, when you come up, you're going to contract the medial delt. You can train this to failure without anything breaking down, because look how stable I am. Watch my legs being driven into the floor here. Go, 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 go. And we still get the reps out. If I'm standing, I'm probably not getting these reps out. So you're going to get like a bit of a cutting edge. Another little trick you can do with cables. So you get there, I'm pretty much finished. On your last set, you can lose the range and keep the tension. Bang, squeeze. Come down, keep the tension. Don't drop it off. Go there, good. Back in, a little bit more is there. Go, 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 go. And then you're done. So that exercise, honestly, I know it's a ball leg to set up, but it's been one of the best exercises for me growing my delts. Let's move on to the final lateral delt exercise that I do on this session. So the final exercise I do is this machine here, or if I train at another gym, it's got a seated version of it, which is also very well supported. Now, you may not have this fancy machine, but you may have in your gym one where you do it with your arm that is bent, and the moment arm is shorter, and it's still a good exercise. Now, if I was to pick holes in my own programming, what I could do is I could swap this, do this on the push day, and bring dumbbells into this day. Why would I say that? Well, I'm kind of hitting the same exercise twice, really. Whereas if I brought the dumbbells in, the dumbbells would challenge the muscle in the shortened position and not so much in the lengthened position. And this one also, it works the lengthened position quite well. And conveniently on both the cable exercise and this exercise, the tension actually drops off. If you look as we come up towards the top, the tension actually drops off. It's not as harsh, and definitely not as harsh as it is when you're on a dumbbell exercise. So actually, if I was to make this better for you moving forward, I would put this on your push day and bring in the dumbbell exercise on this day, and that would be the best course for you. The reason why I do at least 2 is I'm just accumulating as much volume as I possibly can for the delts. Same principle applies as the cable machine. You're just not as well supported. You could, you wouldn't need to, because you're just so much stronger than your grip is strong enough to hold the load. You could strap your hands to it if you needed to really alleviate grip strength, but I think you'll be fine for the longest of time, because this exercise, it gets heavy quick with this machine. Like, the delts aren't a big movement at all, but very nice, very, very good bit of kit. You just need to adjust your position. So when you're doing this as well, try to think about, and it will show you better from this angle, notice how I'm not stood in it, and I'm not coming really far out wide. And this is a good coaching cue for any lateral raise exercise. Think of coming out in a Y shape, not a T shape, and not like a forward in an X. Think like a Y shape, and that will give you the sweet spot on the delt. So you're slightly in front of where you need to be. That will conclude how we're going to hit the side and also the front delts. And the last thing we're going to capture is the rear delts, and I'm going to show you what I do and why. So I do believe I've been able to grow fairly nice size rear delts. And honestly, so if we remember at the start of the video, I told you the function of the rear delt it is to come into shoulder extension, which essentially is to pull your arm backwards behind your body, and also horizontal abduction, to bring your arm out from the side and out to here. So obviously that straight away you can understand how we're going to train it. And if you're doing like rear delt flies and pec deck, not a bad option at all. I also do that exercise as like the isolation for it. But if you want to really grow something, and I've learned this specifically with my triceps, just doing a cable isolation exercise for the long head of my tricep, honestly, has not really got me very big triceps at all. As soon as I started doing weighted dips and moving a shit ton of load through them, they actually started to grow. So if your delts, your rear delts are lagging behind, I would ask you, are you doing an exercise that is really loadable and you're able to move a lot of load through them? Because if not, they're only going to grow to a certain point. Like, you know, it's like saying I can only do pec deck for my chest. You're only going to get so far with that. What you need is a lot of load in the lengthened position. So we're going to show you what I do with that in mind. And honestly, the exercise that has really brought up my rear delts over the past year or two. So on my back days, I do 2 variations of a row. This one you will have seen from the previous video, and I just want you to show you why this works. Now remember, when we do this exercise, we're thinking shrug first, hit the traps, and it will hit the traps. But remember the function, shoulder extension. The way you get shoulder extension is by driving that elbow back behind the body. If we look now, shoulders, elbows, look at my rear delt. You are not going to get that rear delt any shorter than this exercise. It's as short as it humanely will go. Now, also, if you think of a pec deck, you're going to do it with your arms straight, and you're going to push away, rightly so, you're going to push away, you're going to come the longest route. Now, thinking about the lateral raise exercise with the dumbbell, if you're holding the load out right in front of you here, how strong are you going to be? How much load can you actually hold? Like for like, versus if you had the arm bent. You're going to be able to move a lot more load if the arm is bent, aren't you? And as well, if you just now, as you're watching this video, let's make this bigger for me. If I sit here and I come out, I can go back to here, nice, which from the side view is like this. However, if I get my elbow, I can now drive all the way back here. What do you think is going to get my rear delt shorter? The pec deck or the shoulder extension version of each row that you have to do on that movement? It's obvious, isn't it, when I say it like that? So if you want big rear delts, you have to row. And look how much load I can move on this versus a pec deck. It's just night and day. So if you want big rear delts, rowing is going to be the key. Now you've got this version of a row, but honestly, like to go one better, I believe the cable row is actually probably more superior, just because of the position of where your elbows can be. If you look as I come out here, they are flared out a little bit. and that's normal when you do this exercise. So let's look at the cable row, why that also is a really good exercise. Okay, so the way you set yourself up, you need a tool that is to your shoulder structure. So you'll probably seen them in the gym, these handles where they come down and out like this, and you can hold them in a neutral position. If you have to hold a handle like this, you're going to pull outwards. You don't want to pull outwards. You want to pull, well, you want to keep your elbow as close to the body as possible. So as we look at this movement now, here, drag, shoulders, elbow, bang. Look at the distance between where my elbow is to where my actual back is. Look how short that rear delt is. Now as I come out, I'm going to lengthen this and keep the tension on. So I go to here, bang. Look how well stretched that rear delt is in that lengthened position with all that load. Now again, shrug, elbows back, bang, we get the squeeze. Very, very good exercise. Now, I would argue my elbows are a little bit closer to the body than they were on the other chest-supported row, which means I'm just going to get a little bit further back. Because it's the same principle of the lat pull. If I pull really wide, I'll only get to here. If I pull narrow, I can get all the way down to here. Same principle, like when you're thinking to get a muscle short. So, yeah, this exercise I've been doing for the longest time. This has blown up my rear delts. So as promised, this is the workout routine that you can take a screenshot of with my fucking face in the middle. So session 1, done on your push day, shoulder press, 1 set 6 to 10, 2 sets 12 to 15. Remember, this is a machine. Lateral raise, but as spoke about, I think swap this out for some form of a cable variation. Or put the dumbbell in here. Session 2, this is going to be on your pull day. You've got that upper back row, 1 times 6 to 10, 2 times 12 to 15, and the rear delt flies. I didn't have a video to show you perfect form and technique. Maybe I will do at a later point if you guys think that'd be useful. Session 3 is your chest and back day. You're going to hit that upper back row that we watched second, and also rear delt flies again for the isolation. And then session 4 would be your arms and delts day, where you've got your cable lateral raises, machine shoulder press, machine lateral raises, and also you can throw in another dumbbell exercise as well. If you've got time, I'd like to do that, but not always will people have time. I appreciate if you're going to do arms with that as well. It is quite a long session, so that's food for thought. And just for context, I'm running a push, pull, legs, rest, chest and back, arms and delts, rest. That's my split that I'm following at the minute. So if you found this video useful, subscribe, and you'll get more value like this. If you want to work specifically with me after seeing the results we get, there'll be a link in the description. Just book a call, we'll chat things through, see if it's a good fit for you, and then we'll roll from there. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.